the Deets puppy, and I'm here to share my first experience making a lace frontal wig. I do have it on today. I'm barefaced because I'm about to transition into my next look. But nonetheless, we see tons of videos, amazing videos and content from a lot of these beautiful women on YouTube who making a wig look just so easy, right? You get your cap, you get your elastic band, you get your fabulous hair, and voila, you're on fleek. But I don't want you to set yourself up. I encourage everyone to try it for themselves, but there were some gotchas that I would just like to share. I'm not really the most craftiest person, so I'll just keep that 100%. But decided to make a wig really out of default because I had tried to make some clip-ins. That didn't go too well. I was like, F that. Let me just, get a cap and make a wig. I looked at a few videos. It seemed, pretty. It did appear pretty simple. So I had a collection of different hairs. Sorry, I can't give a specific hair review, but I will definitely leave information on where I got this frontal because I am in love. It is an AliExpress frontal, and I would order from them again. But I decided to take a combination of Yaki and Kinky straight hairs that I've gotten over the years and put these things onto a wig to save some money, use my investment wisely. So after I failed to make those clip-ins, as you'll see, so then I ordered the frontal from AliExpress, and it was beautiful. I could not wait. I was all excited about doing a deep side part with this Yaki hair. I also ordered what I saw a few YouTubers use was this type of cap, to secure it, and I ordered that as well from AliExpress. So what did I do? I got the plucking on the hairline. I feel as though this was my mistake number one. I did not take the frontal because I had another different type of hair, probably either some other type of kinky, clip-ins in. But I had another type of hair, and so I never took the frontal and actually laid it down on my hairline. I just started plucking. It looked beautiful to me based on what I was plucking to kind of, get that thing together. So I would say that was my mistake, and I encourage you to get that frontal, and before you sew it on anything, just see how it lays on your head, how it matches your grooves, whatever the case may be, before you start kind of plucking. The next thing I did was the whole bleach the knots type of thing. I kind of was challenged here because I wanted like really, really jet black hair on the frontal, and as you can see kind of here, I decided to color it dark first and then go back and bleach the knots. I don't really know what the best order operations is, but just beware on what order operations you want to use if you're trying to go darker or lighter. Nonetheless, what I found was you have to be careful with the hair dye because it did darken the lace. I didn't think at that time it was such a big deal because I was like, well, this part I will close, it will cut off. But I will warn you on that part as well. Another thing I will warn you about is, when you're bleaching these knots. I looked at the different YouTubers who did this, and I saw that they were using a pretty strong developer, and so I went down that route as well. I would not suggest that you do that. It was, first of all, patchy. Some took faster than others, and it did, and maybe this was the consistency I used. Some of it, really bleached the actual roots of the frontal. So that was challenging as well. And then I was so scared, I didn't leave it on for probably more than 5 minutes. So I would suggest that, practice patience, unlike me, use a lower developer and really let it bake for, 10 to 25 minutes with a lower developer and check back often. And because of this, I had to go back and re-bleach the knots because it was patchy. And then I had to carefully kind of do that because then the roots became blonde. So how I got around that is I took some semi-permanent dye and kind of combed that hit the roots very carefully with a really light brush, something like a toothbrush. So nonetheless, I got through that. I get the sewing on to the cap. I am so excited. The hair is coming out beautiful from that perspective. It probably takes me a long time because I'm doing this over a course of months. I'm just, I do maybe a track a week or something like that at this point until I need the wig. Here is my first fitting. So I do get the elastic band. I tried to make a wig before, so I cut it to that size. And that's another one of my fails, is fitting that elastic band. Because I did not lay that frontal down to kind of get a sense of how long it would come or where it would cut behind my ears in particular. When I sewed the elastic band on, it just wasn't right. So as you can see here, I had to keep cutting extra to kind of get it fitted. And I think that this is kind of more of an art than a science of measurement, because based on the grooves and kind of how you thin it out, where it makes sense is really where you kind of strategically should position that elastic band. So I was so excited about this wig, and so I thought I had slayed it. I just have to share with everybody, I just made a full lace wig. I finally got it decent. She did it! None of my hair is left out. When I was going through the fitting, I had to end up, because I just plugged arbitrarily, it didn't really fit my hairline. So what I did is I had to even cut more lace back off the hairline. So maybe I would say like a quarter of an inch back. That was another one of I feel like my mistakes, because what I ended up doing is getting kind of rid of the dips, and it became very rounded. And because it became very rounded, and that's not how my hairline is, as you can see, I had edges out. Not a big deal to me, because I feel like it kind of gave it a more realistic look. But some folks may have a problem with that. Maybe I could have avoided it had I fitted it correctly, where I would completely have no edges out. But at that time, it worked for me. So I had thought, I had did the damn thing, I had slayed this thing, and I wore it out. But I honestly, still had some issues. Here's some issues that I would just point to you, just to be aware of. Figure out your whole cap strategy. This is the foundation to your wig, and I know a lot of the other folks mention it, but as you're a beginner, really need to kind of figure out your strategy. I feel like looking back on it, that this was not a beginner-friendly base for a frontal. And I figured it out too late. Number one, I have a unique situation. I have a small head. I did order a small, but these things still end up being too big, and it doesn't have a lot of grip. So my wig, honestly, that I'm wearing it is probably, I would gather to say 4 or 5 inches of just bulk in the back. Second thing I recommend, like I said, is making sure that you figure out that lace frontal, the grooves and dips, just by simply like laying it flat on your head, kind of getting a feel, looking at yourself in the mirror before you pluck. And then additionally, around the whole developer and bleaching of the knots, be very careful with that there. So here's my experience with it. It didn't turn out totally bad, but it's not, it could be a lot better. I'm actually going to do this over again. One, I really love the hair, so I don't want to give up on that, but I'm going to move it over to this cap over here to get a tighter fit. And then also, because I cut like the frontal back or whatever, I cut the front off, I'm probably going to position it more for me to kind of leave more edges out. I would recommend adding some type of combs or clips, because with this one, and I'm not sure because it's still not taut, I do feel like it is slipping and like my little cornrows is peeking out, or the case may be. So that's what I got for you. Please watch this video before you go out there and invest. I think these are crucial tips to make sure that you look on fleek. Follow me, like, comment, and subscribe. I'm going to continue to work on my wig game. You guys work on it with me too. If you have any tips for me, I'm just would love it. Particularly any of those folks who have itty bitty heads like I do. All right, thank you so much. Talk to you guys soon.